Hi folks, and welcome to Breaking Woke, how to identify, debunk and dismantle dangerous ideas. I'm Douglas Kruger, author of the global new book, Political Correctness Does More Harm Than Good. Well folks, a funny thing happened on the way to launching YouTube videos over the last couple of weeks. I've noticed some anomalies, and my inner conspiracy theorist can't quite get around this. You see, I've been interviewed a couple of times recently by groups like the Center for Risk Analysis, which is a very respectable institute in my nation. And we did an interview on the topic of 5 ways to engineer a new dark age. And over the course of the past few weeks, I think it's been about 3 weeks now, their version of that video has amassed some 19,000 views, and they have about 9 or 10,000 subscribers on their channel. I have 11,000 subscribers, which is slightly more, and the same video has 549 views. Now, that strikes me as, at the very least, slightly suspicious. And I've gone and had a look at some of my other stats. There's a video on this channel called How to Debunk the Great Reset, 11 Fatal Flaws, and it's up to a whopping 1.6 thousand views. Now, on my business channel, which one has to assume is not being monitored for things you're not allowed to say, it's up to 194,000 views. And on the other channel, the Center for Risk Analysis, which again has fewer subscribers than this channel, it is up to something like 190,000 views as well. This one, it has 1.6. So something is a little suspicious here. And that led me to a couple of weeks of sort of pensiveness, thinking, what on earth do I do about this? I mean, if my overlords are monitoring this and saying, you're not allowed to have this sort of information, and you're not allowed to share these kinds of ideas, what's the point in creating them? And then I ultimately realized that when you think that way, you let them win. So folks, you and I are going to continue on this journey, and we're going to value the thing that we do. And what I'd like to do with you today is just to continue speaking truth, continue sharing the research, and if it gets out there, if it gets past our tech overlords, then may it do some good out in the universe. But even if it doesn't, I think there's something spiritually important in speaking the truth nevertheless. It will prevail eventually. So, today's lesson comes from research done by in a groundbreaking book by Dr. Jonathan Haidt, and it was from a book called The Righteous Mind, Why Good People Are Divided by Religion and Politics. And I quote this research in Political Correctness Does More Harm Than Good in trying to share the composite psychological makeup of the liberal and how it differs from the conservative. In brief, what it breaks down to is that the liberal uses 3 moral pillars in order to make their decisions, in order to construct their worldview, in order to make sense of reality. 3 moral pillars. The conservative has 6 moral pillars, so a broader palette of moral considerations go into moral decision making. And just understanding these differences in psychology and differences in makeup help us to understand what we believe is going wrong with the liberal progressive leftist world, and why they can't see it. The 6 pillars are care and harm, fairness and cheating, liberty and oppression, loyalty and betrayal, authority and subversion, sanctity and degradation. Liberals and conservatives both believe in the first 3 pillars. However, they interpret them in different ways. Conservatives typically also believe in the next 3 pillars, while liberals typically do not. Understanding these differences is extremely useful in 2 ways. It helps us to understand and articulate what we believe is missing in the liberal mindset, and therefore to better understand why they express the ideas they express. And it also aids us when pointing out to them which moral underpinnings are absent from their arguments. Here is how it plays out. 1. Care and harm. Both liberals and conservatives believe in this moral pillar, but in different ways. Liberals tend to emphasize this particular pillar over all others, which conservatives see as an imbalance. How, for instance, should it interact with concepts of justice? 2. Fairness and cheating. Both believe in this pillar,
But our interpretations are vastly different. Liberals approach this one from a group mindset and see unfairness as one group having less than another group. By contrast, conservatives define fairness as proportionality. This is the objection to equal outcomes for unequal work. Conservatives will argue, stop punishing success, stop rewarding failure, stop enabling people's bad decisions, stop providing privilege for those who do not earn it. 3. Liberty and oppression. Both groups care about this concept, but in different ways. This pillar refers to our deep-rooted desire to band together to take down the bully. This pillar can lead to violence. Conservatives tend to perceive this as best applied against tyrannical big government. Liberals tend to see it being applied against capitalists and class oppressors. Also, when it comes to liberty, it is usually about sexual liberty for the left, but economic liberty for the right. Those are the three pillars we hold in common, though our interpretations differ. And at this point, we fundamentally part ways. Conservatives have a broader palette of moral pillars. We introduce more concerns into our total moral decision-making matrix. These additional pillars are 4. Loyalty and betrayal. This concept is almost irrelevant to the liberal. Fidelity to one's own group is extremely valuable to conservatives, but little more than a matter for suspicion for the liberal. 5. Authority and subversion. To the left, insubordination is an inherently good thing. To conservatives, a system can't work if it is in a state of constant revolution, and someone must ultimately be accountable. Stability and growth are preferred. 6. Sanctity and degradation. For the conservative, sanctity matters. A sense of the holy and the revered are important. For the liberal, it is a near non-issue. It is perhaps the difference between your body is a temple versus your body is an amusement park. Haidt gives the example of an Occupy Wall Street protest sign that captures the liberal view. No thing is sacred. The conservative belief system would find this obnoxious and repellent, arguing that some things are sacred and should be cherished and defended. From these differing viewpoints, you can already imagine just how many of our ideological conflicts arise. Take the idea of firm borders as one simple example. The liberal sees nothing within a nation as sacred and precious and to be protected. They might even question the fundamental worth of their own culture and see no particular problem with subverting or altering it. The conservative, by contrast, will greatly value their own culture and view a wall as a necessary means of protecting something important, something valuable.
Well, folks, I don't know what the future of this channel is going to be, but for my part, I'm going to keep creating, producing, and putting information out into the universe. And my goal, so far as I'm able to do so, is to speak the truth. And my belief is that truth prevails, even when our overlords try to censor it. All of the information that I share in these videos is aggregated in the book Political Correctness Does More Harm Than Good. It traces the history, philosopher by philosopher and political event by political event, of terrible politically correct ideas down the centuries, detailing why they arose, who the champions were, what was wrong with their thinking, and how much damage it caused to humanity. And it draws the link all the way up to today. And then I help to debunk some of the current terrible ideas, like our race-baiting ideology, Marxist theory, socialist ideas, all of the terrible things that are becoming a part of today's world. Cancel culture, of course, being one of the biggest ones today. And I try to bring logic and understanding to bear on these topics and to show you where the faults, flaws, and fallacies are. For my part, I'm going to keep trying, and if you have stuck with me, you've subscribed to the videos, if you comment, and if you watch them, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. This is an uphill battle, and as small creators, we are fighting gigantic forces. But we believe in a force that is greater than them all, and that's what we're going to cling to.